Oh, we're in. My goodness, it's quite difficult to try and get into these sometimes. Well, hello, my baby gorillas. And what have we got today? Let's see if we're up. Oh, yes, we're in. Oh, thought I'd go over this. Merry Christmas, guys, and I hope you all have a good New Year when it comes tomorrow. Fantastic New Year's Eve, or Hug Me Nay, as they say in Scotland for the international audience. And I thought I would just bring up this, which was a letter I'd sent in to the national newspaper, dated the 1st of December 2015. This was the sort of launch of the new Scottish Libertarian Party. And Scottish Libertarian. That's good. So we're in. So this is the new Scottish Libertarian Party set to launch, calling for independence outside the EU by Kathleen Nutt. Well written article, good journalist. Republican Senator Ron Paul, who was a candidate for the presidential nomination in 2012, has provided the Scottish Libertarian Party with some of its ideological inspiration. A fresh voice from the centre-right will be added to the Yes movement, with the new pro-independence political party formally launches later this week. The Scottish Libertarian Party is led by businessman Alan Finlay, lovely fella, and is planning to field candidates in all 8 regions at next year's Holyrood elections. Now, I've been told that the Scottish Libertarian Party are going to field 8 candidates in all of the regions in Scotland again. So it gives an opportunity, because there'll be so many people voting for the SNP in the first vote. It would either be voting for the Scottish Libertarian Party or the Reform Party. These would be your second preferential votes, and that's where I would suggest that you put them just now under the current political climate. If you want to vote for somebody who's more of a unionist, then Nigel, and then if you want to vote for somebody who believes in independence outside the European Union, then you would vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party under Tam Laird. So two very interesting guys. I'm sure the two parties will work together. They coalesce over certain issues, and it would be very interesting to get some of these list members actually elected to the Scottish Parliament. I think that would really liven things up and change the sort of dynamic in the Scottish Parliament. So Scottish Libertarian Party, if you're pro-independence and also want independence outside the EU, and obviously Nigel's if you're more of a unionist, and the Reform Party for your second vote. The second vote is obviously going to be the most important. It's not really much point in voting for the SNP again, because they're not going to get very many more seats, so it'll be better voting for these guys. So as well as being a pro-independence, as well as being pro-Scottish independence, the party has an agenda supporting further reform of the welfare state, low taxation, public spending, low regulation for business. So we then start to get growth in the economy. Both the Reform Party and the Scottish Libertarian Party both want growth in the economy. It is also strongly in favour of an exit from the EU. Well, thanks to Nigel, the UKIP, the Brexit Party, and all the people who were involved in the greater movements, including the Tories as well, and the left as well. We have to remember there was left, centre and right that were involved in the exit of the undemocratic EU. Congratulations to Nigel. We'll be popping a bottle of champagne for Nigel getting us out of the EU. So, it is inspired by the work of Ron Paul, a former Republican congressman and presidential nominee of the Libertarian Party in the 1988 US presidential elections. But the underpinnings of the Libertarian ideals go back to the Scottish Enlightenment or the British Enlightenment or the European Enlightenment, where freedom of the individual was important. So other key policies include the decriminalisation of the use of cannabis, lifting legal restrictions on sex workers, and combating the surveillance of individuals by the authorities. So these are all obviously libertarian uh, ideals which are universal through all the libertarian parties throughout the world. The party has launched. The party is holding a public launch event on Thursday evening at Strathclyde University when sex worker Charlotte Rose will put the case for the decriminalising the sex industry, and Dr. Stephen Davis from the Institute of Economic Affairs will also speak. So this is Charlotte Rose, lovely lady. So have a look at this. In the Liberty Forum, if you want to, I'll put a link
to speak to us about.
I'll put a link in the descriptions, and then if you want to have a wee look at the Scottish Liberty Forum with Charlotte Rose, then you'll be more than welcome to do that.
Sexual liberty and personal freedom. So if you can ever round of applause to Charlotte.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for coming along today. I've not prepared anything specific for me to reel off information to you, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me and where I came from and what I've been doing. So, I'm a sex worker, I'm a sexual trainer, I'm a political campaigner. I've got a radio show that I talk about sex once a week, which is fantastic. I'm a sex educator, and I do a lot of political work in regards to sexual freedom and activism. I stood for MP twice against UKIP in the by-elections with Douglas Carswell and Mark Reckless. I was standing as an independent. It was nothing as such as me to be able to radically change people's perceptions of personal liberties, but it was there to raise awareness of the different issues that's going on today right under your noses, and some of you probably aren't even aware of what's going on. Just to give you an example of this, last year on the 1st of December, 12 unelected MPs sat in a room in Parliament and made an amendment to an existing law to state certain activities can no longer be produced under RIT material. And those certain activities are deemed as very sexist in regards to what they are. I won't tell you what they are individually, but I will give them to you once the cameras are not rolling. These laws, this amendment was done under your nose, without your knowledge, without public debate. And things like this are going on all the time when it comes to your personal liberties. What I stood for in Parliament was the decriminalisation of sex work, better sex and relationship education at schools, and sexual equality for the elderly and disabled when it comes to personal liberties. Now, I don't know if you are fully aware of what all of those entail, but it all goes in the form of you having the right to be able to express yourself equally. See, these are attacks.
I'll leave that there. Very interesting from Charlotte. So I'll let you have a wee look at that later on. So David Craig Ballantyne, i.e. me, a Glasgow-based stockbroker and the party's Director of Communications, said the SLP stands for an empowerment of the individual and is opposed to a large centralised state. He denied the party was on the right of the political spectrum. We back the case for Scottish independence as we believe in bringing power closer to the individual. We are opposed to large multinational states as we have in the UK and also in the EU, not in Europe, in the EU, he said. We are not a right-wing party. We cover the full shade of the political spectrum. We do believe in a small state, but we also believe in campaigning for changes in the law on social issues. We are in favour of decriminalising cannabis use, for instance, and are strongly in favour of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. He added the SLP is a pro-independence, though we would advocate a very different independence to the pro-EU pseudo-independence advocated by the SNP. The current welfare state doesn't work. Since the early part of the 20th century, the creep of the state has intruded into the lives of those most vulnerable more than any other group. He went on, this is very good, I can't believe he wrote this. He went on, the SLP proposed to help the working poor by getting the state out of their lives by eliminating income tax for the lowest paid and improving flexibility in spending. The SLP planned to allow all local authorities to set whatever tax policy they wish and allow local authorities to have a similar tax policy to combine with other local authorities and work together for tax collection and revenue policy. Local authorities will raise all the required taxation to cover their budget. The party is also in favour of the reintroduction of the right to buy and allow those on low incomes to get on the property ladder. Professor John Curtis of Strathclyde University said the formation of the SLP was interesting political development and echoed some of the views put forward by Tory Murdo Fraser, very clever man, when he was campaigning to be Conservative leader. Surprised he never got there. Murdo would have been a very good leader of the Conservative Party. However, Curtis said he doubted whether its small state, low public spending agenda will gain sufficient support. Well, that's got to be seen to be believed. It sounds like a full-blooded right-of-centre party, and it certainly has a valid point of view. There are people who agree with its principles, he said. And it's getting bigger. I mean, it's only been 5 years since this article has been written, and it's already getting bigger. There is certainly a potential room in Scotland for a centre-right nationalist party that was, after all, Murdo Fraser's project. It is going to. Is it going to get very far? I would be doubtful. I don't think there is a huge amount of support for low public spending, either in Scotland or the rest of the UK. Look at George Osborne's statement last week, which ruled out cutting spending on health and on schools. Well, there's different policies for health and schools. It doesn't just mean cutting public spending. It can mean introduction of different things into schooling and public health. A spokesman for the Radical Left Alliance, Rise, said there is a market for right-wing ideas in Scotland, but the record of the Tories in Scotland in the last 20 to 30 years suggests it's a pretty small market. Well, the Tories had 50% of the Scottish voting public at one point, and I don't think the Tories and the Libertarian Party are the same. I think they're very different entities. So I think the Scottish Libertarian Party will appeal because they're not the Scottish Conservative Party, and I think there's an underlying libertarian vibe that goes through Scotland. So that's certainly something that may appeal to a lot of people from that point of view, and that's why I think it's growing. I don't think the SLP will be competing with Rise for voters. They will be trying to take votes from Tories and UKIP. Well, I think it's a totally different type of party, and it's in a totally different place in the political compass for them to actually take the votes. They, because of the policies, they will take votes from all over the political spectrum, and I think that's what the left are going to be worried about, especially with the rise of the racist intersectional left. They're now going to take votes away. They might not be content with what's currently on offer. So I just thought I would give you a wee update on that. I thought that was rather interesting. I thought it's interesting. There's a few months to go before the Scottish elections, and I believe that the SLP, the Scottish Libertarian Party, are going to stand in all regions. So you will have the opportunity to cast your votes for the Scottish Libertarian Party, which we'll see how it gets on. I think we'll see a rise in the number of votes for the SLP as something different in the political spectrum, the political compass, and unlike other political parties. Guys, love my baby gorillas.